Marcus Wellington stood at the window of his office on the 45th floor. The city lights sparkled below him like diamonds on black cloth. At 52 years old, he owned one of the biggest tech companies in America. His office was bigger than most people's homes. Everything in it cost more money than most families made in a year. Marcus had worked hard to get where he was. He started his first company when he was just 25. Now he had billions of dollars and could buy anything he wanted. His penthouse apartment took up the entire top floor of a building in Manhattan. He owned houses in 5 different countries. His garage had 12 expensive cars that he rarely drove. But money could not buy him peace of mind tonight. Marcus looked at his watch. It was almost 9 o'clock in the evening. His daughter Emma should have been home hours ago. She was supposed to be at her friend Sarah's house studying for a test. Emma was 16 years old and attended one of the most expensive private schools in New York City. Marcus had always been protective of Emma. She was his only child. Her mother had died in a car accident when Emma was just 8 years old. Since then, Marcus had raised Emma by himself with the help of nannies and housekeepers. He gave her everything money could buy. The best clothes, the best education, the best of everything. But lately, Emma had been different. She asked too many questions about things that did not concern her. She talked about unfairness in the world. She said her father did not understand what life was really like for most people. This made Marcus angry. He had worked hard for his success. He believed that anyone could make it in America if they tried hard enough. Emma went to school with other rich kids. Their families had money for generations. Marcus was different. His family had been middle class. His father worked in a factory. His mother was a teacher. Marcus got scholarships to go to college. He studied day and night. He made sacrifices that other people would not make. But Emma did not see it that way. She said her father lived in a bubble. She said he did not know what it was like for people who did not have money. This frustrated Marcus. He provided everything for her. Why was she not grateful? Marcus walked back to his desk. It was made from a single piece of wood that came from a tree that was 500 years old. The desk cost more than most people's cars. On it sat 3 computer screens, a gold pen set, and a photo of Emma from last Christmas. She was smiling, but Marcus could see something in her eyes. She looked like she wanted to be somewhere else. The phone on his desk buzzed. Marcus looked at the caller ID. It was his driver, Robert. Robert had worked for Marcus for 8 years. He was reliable and never asked questions, Mr. Wellington, Robert said when Marcus answered. I'm outside Miss Emma's school. She's not here. The building is locked. No one is around, Marcus felt his stomach tighten. What do you mean she's not there? She was supposed to be at Sarah's house for a study group. I called Sarah's house like you asked, Robert said. Her mother said Emma never came over. She said they don't have any tests tomorrow. Marcus closed his eyes. Emma had lied to him. But where was she? And why had she lied? Come back to the office, Marcus told Robert. I need to make some calls. Marcus hung up the phone and immediately called Emma's cell phone. It went straight to voicemail. He tried again. Still voicemail. His heart started beating faster. Emma always answered her phone when he called. He called the school. No answer. He called 3 of Emma's friends. None of them knew where she was. One girl said she thought Emma was going somewhere downtown with some older kids from another school. Marcus felt panic rising in his chest. Marcus had enemies. When you had as much money as he did, some people wanted to hurt you. They might try to hurt your family. He had security at his house and office. He had bodyguards when he went to important events. But Emma had always refused to have security follow her around. She said it made her feel like a prisoner. Marcus called his head of security, a former FBI agent named David Chen. David answered on the first ring. Mr. Wellington? What's wrong? Emma is missing, Marcus said. She lied about where she was going tonight. Her phone goes to voicemail. I need you to find her. I'll start making calls right away, David said. Do you want me to call the police? Marcus thought about it. If the police got involved, it might end up in the newspapers. The last thing he wanted was publicity about his family problems. But if Emma was really in danger, he would do anything to find her. Not yet, Marcus said. Give me an hour. If we don't find her by then, we'll call the police. Marcus hung up and tried Emma's phone again. This time it rang once before going to voicemail. That meant her phone was on, but she was not answering. Was she unable to answer? Or was she choosing not to answer? Marcus thought about the last conversation he had with Emma. It was 3 days ago at breakfast. She had been reading something on her phone about inequality in schools. She said it was not fair that some kids went to schools with no books while she went to a school with a movie theater and an Olympic-sized swimming pool. Marcus had told her that life was not fair. He said that her grandfather had worked in a factory for 30 years so that Marcus could go to college. He said that Marcus had worked 80-hour weeks for years so that Emma could have a better life. He said that was how America worked. If you wanted something, you had to work for it. Emma had looked at him with sad eyes. But Dad, what about kids whose parents work just as hard as Grandpa did but still can't afford to send them to good schools? What about kids who are just as smart as me but don't get the same chances? Marcus had not known what to say to that. He told Emma to finish her breakfast and get ready for school. But her words had bothered him all day. Now Emma was missing, and Marcus felt more scared than he had ever felt in his life. All his money, all his success, all his power meant nothing if he could not keep his daughter safe. Marcus's phone rang. He grabbed it without looking at the caller ID. Emma? He said, but it was not Emma. It was a number he did not recognize. Dad? The voice was quiet and scared. It was Emma. Emma! Where are you? Are you okay? I've been worried sick. Dad, I'm sorry I lied to you. I'm in Brooklyn. I came here with some friends to volunteer at a community center. But something happened. The friends I came with left without me. My phone is almost dead. I'm scared, Dad. There are some men who have been following me. I think they know who I am. I think they want to hurt me. Marcus felt like someone had punched him in the stomach. His worst fears were coming true. Where exactly are you? He said, trying to keep his voice calm. I don't know the address. I'm on a street corner near some stores. It's getting dark. Dad, I'm really scared. I'm sending Robert to get you right away. Can you find a safe place to wait? I don't know where is safe, Emma said. Her voice was shaking. Dad, I think they're coming closer. Marcus had never felt so helpless in his life. Emma Wellington pressed her back against the cold brick wall of a closed store. Her heart was beating so fast she thought it might explode. She held her phone tight in her shaking hand. The battery showed only 5% left. Dad, are you still there? She whispered into the phone. I'm here, sweetheart, Marcus said from his office in Manhattan. Tell me exactly what you see around you. Emma looked around the dark street. Most of the stores were closed. A few had bright neon signs that flickered on and off. She could see a bodega that was still open down the block. 3 men stood outside it, and they kept looking in her direction. There's a store with a green sign that says Food Market, Emma said, and there's a bus stop across the street. Dad, those men are still watching me. I think they heard me talking about money earlier when I was with my friends. Marcus felt his hands shake as he grabbed his car keys. I'm coming to get you myself. Robert is stuck in traffic, but I can get there faster. No, Dad, don't come alone. It's not safe here. You don't know this area. Marcus knew Emma was right. He had never been to this part of Brooklyn. He had lived in New York for over 20 years, but he only knew the wealthy areas. His driver always took him everywhere. He rarely drove himself, especially not to places like where Emma was now. David is trying to track your phone, Marcus said, but I need you to stay on the line with me. Can you get inside somewhere? Emma looked around again. The bodega was the only place that looked open and safe. But to get there, she would have to walk past the 3 men. They had been following her for the last 10 minutes, staying about half a block behind her. I don't think I can move, Emma said. They'll follow me wherever I go. Earlier that evening, Emma had lied to her father about going to Sarah's house. Instead, she had met up with some kids from a public school in Manhattan. They had invited her to come volunteer at a community center in Brooklyn. Emma was excited to do something real, something that would help people. The community center was in a neighborhood that Emma had never seen before. The buildings were old and some windows were broken. But the people at the center were kind. They were serving dinner to families who did not have enough food. Emma helped serve soup and bread. She talked to little kids while their parents ate. For the first time in her life, Emma saw what it was like for people who did not have money. She met a girl her own age who took care of her 3 little brothers because their mother worked 2 jobs. She met an old man who lived in his car because he could not afford rent. Emma realized how lucky she was. She had never worried about food or a place to live. She had never shared a bedroom with anyone. She had never worn the same clothes for 3 days because they were the only clothes she had. But then something bad happened. Emma was talking to one of the volunteer coordinators about her father's company. She was asking if her father's foundation could donate money to the center. She did not notice that some people were listening to her conversation. When she mentioned her last name, a few people started whispering. The Wellington family was famous in New York. Everyone knew they had billions of dollars. Emma did not think about how dangerous it might be for people to know who she was. The friends who had brought Emma to Brooklyn said they had to leave early. They offered to take Emma back to Manhattan, but she said she wanted to stay longer. She said her driver could pick her up later. But when she called her father's driver, she realized she did not know the exact address of the community center. Emma tried to find the address, but her phone was losing battery. She decided to walk to a main street where she could get a taxi. But as she walked, she noticed that 3 men from the community center were following her. At first, Emma thought it was just a coincidence. But they stayed behind her for block after block. When she stopped, they stopped. When she walked faster, they walked faster. Emma started to feel scared. She tried to call her father, but her phone was almost dead. She found a spot under a streetlight and called him using the last bit of battery she had. Now she was trapped on a dark street corner, talking to her father while 3 dangerous men watched her. "Dad, my phone is going to die soon," Emma said. "What should I do?" Marcus was in his car now, driving through the streets of Manhattan toward Brooklyn. He had never driven this route before. His GPS said it would take 45 minutes in traffic. "Stay where you are," Marcus said. "Find somewhere with light. If anyone approaches you, scream as loud as you can." "I'm scared, Dad. I'm sorry I lied to you. I just wanted to help people. I wanted to do something that mattered." Marcus felt his heart break. Even in danger, his daughter was thinking about helping others. He had been angry that she lied, but now he just wanted her to be safe. "You don't need to apologize," Marcus said. "Just focus on staying safe until I get there." Emma looked around again. The 3 men were getting closer. They were not trying to hide anymore. One of them was talking on his phone. Emma wondered if he was calling more people to come. "Dad, they're moving closer," Emma whispered. "I think they're planning something." Marcus pressed harder on the gas pedal. He was still 30 minutes away. He felt completely helpless. All his money and power meant nothing right now. He could not protect his daughter from where he was. "Emma, listen to me," Marcus said. "If they get too close, run to that bodega you mentioned. Get inside and ask the owner to call the police. What if they follow me inside? Then you fight. You scream. You do whatever you have to do." Emma had never been in a situation like this. She had always been protected. She had always felt safe. Now she understood what it felt like to be powerless and afraid. Her phone beeped. The battery was almost dead. "Dad, I have to save my battery. I'm going to hang up and call you back if something happens." "No, Emma, stay on the line with me." "I can't. My phone will die." "I love you, Dad." "Emma, wait." The phone went dead. Marcus screamed and hit his steering wheel. He was alone in his car, racing through traffic while his daughter was alone and in danger in a place he had never been. He called David, his head of security. "Did you find her location?" Marcus asked. "We got a general area from the cell tower, but it's not exact. I'm sending 3 teams to different spots in that neighborhood." "I'm almost there myself," Marcus said. "Mr. Wellington, you should let us handle this. You don't know that area. It could be dangerous for you, too." Marcus did not care about his own safety. His daughter was in trouble, and he would do anything to help her. Meanwhile, Emma put her dead phone in her pocket and looked around. The 3 men were now only half a block away. She could see their faces under the streetlights. They looked angry and determined. Emma took a deep breath and started walking toward the bodega. She tried to look calm, but her legs felt weak. She had never been so scared in her life. As she walked, she heard footsteps behind her getting faster. The men were no longer trying to hide. They were coming for her. Emma started to run. Jamal Thompson sat in his yellow taxi at a red light on Atlantic Avenue. It was his 14th hour of driving today. His back hurt and his eyes were tired, but he needed the money. His 8-year-old daughter Zara had a school field trip next week that cost $50. $50 was a lot of money for Jamal, but he would find a way to pay it. He always did. Jamal was 34 years old and had been driving a taxi for 6 years. Before that, he served in the Army for 8 years. He went to Afghanistan twice and Iraq once. When he came back to America, he thought his Army experience would help him get a good job. But it was harder than he expected, Some employers said they wanted to hire veterans, but then they found reasons not to hire Jamal. He knew why. He was a black man from Brooklyn who did not go to college. No matter how well he spoke or how good his Army record was, some people had already made up their minds about him. So Jamal drove a taxi during the day and took classes at community college at night. He was studying business management. His dream was to start his own transportation company someday. But for now, he just focused on taking care of Zara and paying their bills. Jamal lived alone with his daughter in a small apartment in Bedford-Stuyvesant. Zara's mother had left when Zara was 2 years old. She said she was not ready to be a mother. Jamal never heard from her again. It was hard being a single father, but Zara was the best thing in his life. The light turned green and Jamal drove slowly down the street. He was looking for his next passenger when he saw something that made him stop. A young girl was running down the sidewalk. She looked scared and kept looking over her. Shoulder Jamal had seen a lot of things during his years driving in New York. He learned to tell the difference between someone who was just in a hurry and someone who was in real trouble. This girl was in trouble. The girl had blonde hair and was wearing expensive clothes. Her shoes looked like they cost more than Jamal made in a week. She was clearly not from this neighborhood, but she was alone and afraid, and that was all that mattered to Jamal. Jamal pulled his taxi to the side of the road and rolled down his window. "Hey, miss," he called out. "Are you okay?" The girl stopped running and looked at him. She was breathing hard and her eyes were wide with fear. Jamal could see that she was just a teenager, probably around the same age as his niece. I need help," the girl said. "Some men are following me. My phone is dead and I don't know this area." Jamal looked behind her and saw 3 men walking quickly down the street. They were looking directly at the girl. Jamal had been in enough dangerous situations to recognize trouble when he saw it. "Get in the taxi," Jamal said. "I'll help you." The girl hesitated. Jamal understood why. He was a black man she did not know, and she had probably been taught to be careful around strangers. But she looked behind her again and saw the men getting closer. "My name is Jamal Thompson," he said. "I have a daughter about your age. I'm not going to hurt you. I just want to help." Something in Jamal's voice made the girl trust him. She opened the back door of the taxi and got in. As soon as she closed the door, Jamal drove away from the curb. "What's your name?" Jamal asked, looking at her in the rearview mirror. "Emma," she said. "Emma Wellington." Jamal had heard that name before. The Wellington family was famous in New York. They owned a big technology company and had billions of dollars. Jamal realized this girl was probably very valuable to kidnappers or anyone who wanted to hurt her family. "Do you have anyone you can call?" Jamal asked. "My phone is dead," Emma said, "but I have my father's number memorized. Can I use your phone?" Jamal handed her his phone. It was an old phone that he had bought used, but it worked. Emma dialed her father's number with shaking hands. "Dad?" Emma said when Marcus answered. "Emma, thank God. Where are you? Are you safe?" "I'm okay. I'm in a taxi with a man who helped me. His name is Jamal Thompson." Marcus felt relief wash over him, but he was still worried. "Put him on the phone," Marcus said. Emma handed the phone to Jamal. "My father wants to talk to you." Jamal took the phone. "Hello, Mr. Wellington. My name is Jamal Thompson. Your daughter is safe with me." "Where are you taking her?" Marcus asked. His voice was tense. "Wherever you want me to take her," Jamal said. "I'm just trying to help." She said some men were following her. Marcus was still suspicious. He did not know this man. But Emma seemed calm now, and that was a good sign. "Can you bring her to the corner of Atlantic Avenue and Flatbush Avenue?" Marcus asked. "I'll meet you there in 15 minutes. "Yes, sir," Jamal said. "We'll be there." Jamal hung up and handed the phone back to Emma. "Your father is going to meet us in 15 minutes, he said. "Thank you," Emma said. "I don't know what would have happened if you hadn't stopped." Jamal looked at her in the mirror again. She was still scared, but she was safe now. He thought about his own daughter and how he would want someone to help her if she was ever in trouble. "Can I ask you something?" Emma said. "Sure. Why did you help me?" "You don't know me. You could have just driven past." Jamal thought about the question. "I have a daughter," he said. "If she was scared and alone, I would want someone to help her. It does not matter what color her skin is or how much money her family has. Every child deserves to be safe." Emma felt tears in her eyes. This stranger had risked his own safety to help her. He did not ask for anything in return. He just wanted to help because it was the right thing to do. "What's your daughter's name?" Emma asked. "Zara," Jamal said with a smile. "She's 8 years old. She's smart and funny, and she wants to be a doctor when she grows up." "Does she go to school around here?" "Yes, she goes to PS 256 on Hancock Street. It's not the best school, but the teachers care about the kids." Emma thought about her own school with its swimming pool and movie theater. She wondered what Zara's school was like. She wondered if Zara had all the books and computers she needed to become a doctor. "I bet she's proud of you," Emma said. Jamal smiled. "I hope so. I try to teach her to work hard and be kind to people. That's all any parent can do." As they drove toward the meeting point, Emma felt safe for the first time since her phone died. Jamal had not asked her any questions about her family's money. He had not tried to take advantage of her situation. He just wanted to help a scared teenager get back to her father. Emma realized that everything her father had taught her about being careful around certain types of people might be wrong. This man had risked his own safety to protect her. He was kind and respectful and honorable. When they reached the corner of Atlantic Avenue and Flatbush Avenue, Emma could see her father's black Mercedes pulling up. Marcus got out of the car and walked quickly toward the taxi. Jamal got out of the taxi first. He wanted to show Mr. Wellington that he was not a threat. Marcus was tall and well-dressed. He looked like he had never been in this part of Brooklyn before. "Mr. Wellington," Jamal said. "I'm Jamal Thompson." Marcus studied Jamal carefully. He was a big man with kind eyes and a respectful manner. Marcus could see that Emma was safe and unharmed in the back seat of the taxi. "Thank you for helping my daughter," Marcus said, but his voice was still cold and suspicious. Emma got out of the taxi and ran to her father. Marcus hugged her tight, feeling relief that she was safe. "Dad, Jamal saved me," Emma said. "Those men were going to hurt me, but he stopped them and brought me here." Marcus looked at Jamal again. He was grateful that Emma was safe, but he was still not sure he could trust this stranger. Just as Marcus was about to thank Jamal and take Emma home, 3 men appeared from around the corner. They were the same men who had been following Emma earlier. They walked quickly toward the taxi, and Marcus could see the anger in their faces. "That's them," Emma whispered, grabbing her father's arm. "Those are the men who were chasing me." The 3 men looked surprised to see Marcus and his expensive car, but they had come too far to give up now. The leader of the group was a tall man with a scar on his face. He had heard Emma talking about her family's money at the community center. He knew the Wellington family was worth billions of dollars. Well, the man with the scar said as he got closer. "Look what we have here. The rich little girl and her daddy." Marcus stepped in front of Emma, but he had never been in a situation like this. He had money and power, but he did not know how to fight. He had never had to defend himself or anyone else with his hands. Jamal stepped between the 3 men and the Wellington family. He had been in many dangerous situations during his time in the army. He knew how to stay calm when there was trouble. "You need to walk away," Jamal said to the men. His voice was quiet but firm. "Right now," the man with the scar laughed. "This is not your business, taxi driver. We just want to talk to the girl and her father about a donation to our cause." "I said walk away," Jamal repeated. He did not raise his voice, but there was something in his tone that made the men pause. Emma was behind her father, but she could see everything. She was holding her father's phone and had already dialed 911, but she knew the police would not arrive in time. "Dad," Emma whispered. "Should I call your security team?" "They're 20 minutes away," Marcus whispered back. He realized how helpless he was without his money and power to protect him. The second man, who was shorter but looked mean, pulled something from his jacket. It was a knife. The blade caught the light from the street lamp. "We don't want to hurt anyone," the man said. "We just want the girl to come with us for a little while. Her family can afford to pay for her safe return." Marcus felt terror run through his body. These men wanted to kidnap his daughter. All his worst fears were coming true. Jamal saw the knife and immediately moved into a fighting position. His army training kicked in. He had been in combat situations where people tried to kill him. 3 men with a knife was dangerous, but not impossible. "Emma, get in your father's car right now," Jamal said without taking his eyes off the 3 men. "Mr. Wellington, start the engine." "What about you?" Emma asked. "Don't worry about me. Just go." But Emma did not move. She could not leave Jamal to fight 3 men by himself, especially when they had a knife. The man with the scar nodded to his friends. They spread out to surround Jamal. They thought 3 against 1 would be easy, especially with a weapon. They were wrong. When the man with the knife moved forward, Jamal was ready. He grabbed the man's wrist and twisted it until the knife fell to the ground. Then he hit the man in the stomach so hard that he fell down and could not breathe. The second man tried to grab Jamal from behind, but Jamal spun around and hit him in the face with his elbow. The man stumbled backward with blood coming from his nose. The man with the scar was bigger than the other 2. He thought he could overpower Jamal with his size and strength. He charged at Jamal like a football player trying to make a tackle. Jamal stepped to the side and let the man's own weight work against him. The man crashed into the side of the taxi and hit his head on the door. He fell to the ground, dazed and confused. The whole fight lasted less than 2 minutes. All 3 men were on the ground, hurt and unable to continue fighting. Jamal stood over them, breathing hard but not seriously injured. Marcus and Emma watched in amazement. They had never seen anything like it. Jamal had just defeated 3 men who were trying to kidnap Emma. He had done it quickly and efficiently, like it was something he did every day. "Are you okay?" Emma asked Jamal. Jamal nodded. He had a cut on his hand where one of the men had scratched him, but he was fine. "Are you okay?" he asked Emma. "Yes, thanks to you." The 3 men were starting to get up. Jamal knew they might try to attack again, or they might run away and come back later with more people. "Mr. Wellington, we need to call the police," Jamal said. "These men tried to kidnap your daughter. They need to be arrested." Marcus was still in shock. He had just watched a taxi driver he did not know risk his life to protect Emma. Jamal had fought 3 dangerous men to keep her safe. "Yes, of course," Marcus said. He took out his phone and called 911. While they waited for the police, the 3 men slowly stood up. The man with the scar looked at Jamal with hate in his eyes. "This is not over," he said. "We know who you are now. We know where you drive your taxi." Jamal stared back at him without fear. "If you ever come near this girl again, or if you try to hurt me or my family, you will regret it. I promise you that." The 3 men walked away slowly. They were hurt and embarrassed. But Jamal knew they might cause trouble later. He had made enemies tonight by protecting Emma. Emma walked over to Jamal. "You're bleeding," she said, looking at the cut on his hand. "It's nothing," Jamal said. "Just a scratch." Emma took a tissue from her purse and gently cleaned the blood from Jamal's hand. "You could have been seriously hurt," she said. "Why did you do that for me?" Jamal looked at this rich white girl who was carefully cleaning his wound. Most people in her position would have just called their security team and stayed far away from the fight. But Emma seemed genuinely concerned about him. "I told you," Jamal said. "I have a daughter. If someone was trying to hurt her, I would want someone to help her. It does not matter who she is or where she comes from." Marcus watched his daughter taking care of Jamal's wound. He saw the respect and gratitude in her eyes. He realized that this man had just done something that Marcus could never have done. Jamal had put his own safety at risk to protect someone he did not even know. The police sirens could be heard in the distance, getting closer. Soon there would be questions and paperwork and statements to give. But right now Marcus was just grateful that his daughter was safe. "I don't know how to thank you," Marcus said to Jamal. "You don't need to thank me," Jamal replied. "I just did what anyone should do." But Marcus knew that was not true. Not everyone would have stepped in to help. Not everyone would have fought 3 men to protect a stranger's child. Jamal had done something extraordinary, and he acted like it was no big deal. Emma finished cleaning Jamal's cut and looked up at him. "You're a hero," she said. Jamal smiled. "I'm just a taxi driver who happened to be in the right place at the right time." Emma shook her head. "No, you're much more than that." As the police cars pulled up with their flashing lights, Marcus realized that his opinion about some things might need to change. He had made assumptions about people based on how they looked or where they came from. But tonight, a man he might have avoided or ignored had saved his daughter's life. The police officers got out of their cars and walked over to the group. They would want to hear the whole story from the beginning. But Marcus knew the most important part of the story was standing right in front of him. Jamal Thompson had risked everything to protect Emma, and he had asked for nothing in return. 2 hours later, Marcus sat in the back seat of Jamal's taxi with Emma. They had spent the time at the police station giving statements about what happened. The 3 men who tried to kidnap Emma had been arrested. The police said they would be charged with attempted kidnapping and assault. Marcus had called his security team and his lawyer. Everything was being handled properly, but he could not stop thinking about what had happened earlier. A complete stranger had saved his daughter's life, and Marcus had almost made a terrible mistake. When Marcus first saw Jamal standing next to the taxi with Emma, his first thought was not gratitude. It was suspicion. He wondered if Jamal was working with the kidnappers. He wondered if this was all a plan to get money from the Wellington family. Marcus was ashamed of those thoughts now. While he had been suspicious of the man who saved his daughter, Jamal had been fighting 3 dangerous men to protect her. Marcus realized how wrong his first reaction had been. "Mr. Thompson," Marcus said as they drove through Brooklyn toward Manhattan, "I owe you an apology." Jamal looked at him in the rearview mirror. "You don't owe me anything, Mr. Wellington." "Yes, I do. When I first saw you with Emma, I was suspicious. I was worried that you might be trying to hurt her or take advantage of her situation. I was wrong to think that way." Jamal nodded slowly. He had seen the suspicion in Marcus's eyes when they first met. It was not the first time someone had looked at him that way. As a black man, Jamal was used to people being suspicious of him before they got to know him. "I understand," Jamal said. "You were worried about your daughter." "That's natural." "No, it's not natural," Emma said from the back seat. "Dad, you were suspicious because Jamal is black. You would not have been suspicious if he was a white taxi driver." Marcus felt uncomfortable, but he knew Emma was right. He had made assumptions about Jamal based on his race. Those assumptions were wrong and unfair. "Emma's right," Marcus said. "I made judgments about you that were not fair. I'm sorry." Jamal appreciated the apology, but he was more interested in understanding this family. Emma seemed very different from her father. She was young, but she understood things about the world that her father did not seem to see. "Can I ask you something, Emma?" Jamal said. "What were you doing in Brooklyn tonight? Your father seems like he's never been to this part of the city before." Emma looked at her father, then back at Jamal. "I wanted to volunteer at a community center. I wanted to help people who don't have as much money as my family does. But I had to lie to my father because I knew he would not let me go." Marcus felt hurt that Emma had lied to him, but he also felt confused. "Why do you want to help strangers when you have everything you need at home?" "Because I have everything I need at home," Emma said. "Tonight I met kids my age who take care of their little brothers and sisters because their parents work 3 jobs. I met people who are smart and kind but don't have the same opportunities I have. It's not fair, Dad." Marcus had heard this argument from Emma before, but tonight it sounded different. Tonight she had almost been kidnapped while trying to help people. Tonight she had been saved by someone who lived the kind of life she was talking about. "Jamal," Emma said, "tell my father about your daughter." Jamal smiled when he thought about Zara. "Her name is Zara. She's 8 years old. She's the smartest kid I know. She wants to be a doctor when she grows up." "Where does she go to school?" Marcus asked. "PS 256 on Hancock Street. It's a public school. The teachers work hard, but they don't have enough books or computers. Sometimes the heat doesn't work in the winter. But Zara loves learning, so she makes the best of it." Marcus thought about Emma's school, which had more resources than most colleges. Every student had their own laptop computer. The library had thousands of books. The science labs had equipment that most universities could not afford. "Do you think Zara will be able to become a doctor?" Emma asked. Jamal was quiet for a moment. "I hope so. She's smart enough. But medical school costs a lot of money. I'm trying to save for her college education, but it's hard. I work 16 hours a day just to pay our rent and buy food." Marcus did some quick math in his head. Jamal probably made about $30,000 a year driving a taxi. Marcus made more than that in one day from his investments alone. "What about you?" Marcus asked. "Did you go to college?" "I'm taking classes at community college at night," Jamal said. "I'm studying business management. I want to start my own transportation company someday, but it takes a long time when you can only take 1 or 2 classes per semester." Emma leaned forward in her seat. "How long have you been taking classes?" 4 years. I have about 2 more years to go before I get my degree. Then maybe I can get a better job and save more money for Zara's education." Marcus realized that Jamal was working toward the same goals that Marcus had worked toward when he was young. The difference was that Marcus had been able to take a full course load in college because his parents helped him. He had been able to focus on his studies instead of working to survive. Jamal had all the same ambitions and work ethic as Marcus. but he had to overcome much bigger obstacles. He was a single father working multiple jobs while going to school at night, and he was doing it all without the advantages that Marcus had taken for granted. "What did you do before you started driving a taxi?" Marcus asked. "I was in the army for 8 years. I served in Afghanistan and Iraq. When I came back, I thought my military experience would help me get a good job, but it was harder than I expected." Marcus had read about veterans having trouble finding work after their military service, but he had never thought about it much. Now he was talking to someone who had served his country and was still struggling to make a living. "Why was it hard to find work?" Emma asked. Jamal thought about how to answer honestly without sounding bitter. "Some employers say they want to hire veterans, but then they find reasons not to hire us. Sometimes it's because we don't have college degrees. Sometimes it's because of our race or where we come from. Sometimes it's just because they're more comfortable hiring people who are like them." Marcus felt uncomfortable again. His company had a program to hire veterans, but he realized he did not know much about how well it worked. He wondered how many qualified people like Jamal had applied for jobs at his company and been turned down. They were now driving through Manhattan, getting close to Marcus's neighborhood. The buildings were taller and newer here. The streets were cleaner and better lit. This was Marcus's world where everyone had money and education and opportunities. "Jamal, do you mind if I ask you something personal?" Marcus said. "Go ahead. Are you angry about the way things are? About having to work so hard for things that other people get easily?" Jamal thought about the question. "Sometimes I get frustrated, but I don't waste time being angry. I focus on taking care of my daughter and working toward my goals." "Anger doesn't help anyone." Emma looked at her father. "Dad, do you understand now why I wanted to volunteer tonight? There are people like Jamal and Zara all over the city. They work just as hard as we do, but they don't have the same chances." Marcus was beginning to understand. For the first time in his life, he was talking to someone who lived in the world Emma had been trying to tell him about. Jamal was not asking for help or making excuses. He was just living his life and taking care of his daughter the best way he could. But Marcus could see how much easier Jamal's life would be with just a little more opportunity. How much faster he could finish school if he did not have to work 16 hours a day. How much better Zara's education could be if she went to a school with more resources. "Jamal," Marcus said as they pulled up to his building, "I would like to do something to thank you for saving Emma. Is there anything you need?" Jamal shook his head. "I told you, Mr. Wellington, I don't need anything. I just did what anyone should do." "But you didn't just do what anyone would do," Emma said. "You did something brave and dangerous to help someone you didn't even know. We want to help you the way you helped us." Jamal looked at the building where Marcus and Emma lived. It was one of the most expensive buildings in Manhattan. The doorman wore a uniform and opened the car door for Emma. "I appreciate the offer," Jamal said, "but I'm okay. I have work and a place to live. My daughter is healthy and happy. That's all I need." As Marcus and Emma got out of the taxi, Marcus realized something important. Jamal had risked his life to save Emma, and he was not asking for anything in return. He was not trying to take advantage of the situation or get money from the Wellington family. That kind of character was rare, even among people with all the advantages Marcus had. Jamal had something that money could not buy: integrity and courage and kindness. Marcus handed Jamal $200 for the taxi ride. Jamal tried to give most of it back, saying the ride was only worth $20, but Marcus insisted he keep it. "Thank you again," Marcus said, "for everything." Jamal nodded and drove away into the night. Marcus and Emma stood on the sidewalk and watched the taxi disappear into traffic. "Dad," Emma said, "do you understand now?" Marcus put his arm around his daughter. "I think I'm starting to." Marcus could not sleep that night. He kept thinking about Jamal Thompson and everything that had happened. At 3 in the morning, he got out of bed and went to his home office. He turned on his computer and started researching. First, Marcus looked up information about veterans who had trouble finding jobs after military service. He learned that many companies said they wanted to hire veterans, but the unemployment rate for veterans was still higher than for other people. He read stories about soldiers who served their country for years but could not find good jobs when they came home. Then Marcus researched PS 256, the school where Jamal's daughter went. He found pictures of old classrooms with broken desks and computers that were 10 years old. He read that the school did not have enough textbooks for all the students. Some classes had 35 kids with only one teacher. Marcus compared this to Emma's school, which spent $50,000 per student every year. Emma's school had small classes, new technology, and every resource a student could need. Zara's school spent less than $10,000 per student every year. Marcus had never thought about this difference before. He had always assumed that all kids in America had access to good education. He had never realized how much of a difference money made in the quality of schools. At 6 in the morning, Marcus called his head of human resources, Sarah Kim. Sarah had worked for Marcus's company for 12 years. She was in charge of hiring all the employees. "Mr. Wellington," Sarah said, sounding surprised to get a call so early. "Is everything okay?" "Sarah, I need to ask you about our veteran hiring program. How many veterans have we hired in the last 2 years?" Sarah was quiet for a moment. "Let me check the numbers. We've hired about 15 veterans out of the 300 people we hired. How many veterans applied for jobs?" "About 200. Marcus felt sick to his stomach. His company had rejected most of the veterans who applied for jobs. "Why did we reject so many of them?" "Well, many of them didn't have college degrees, and some of them didn't have experience with the specific technology we use. We have very high standards, Mr. Wellington." Marcus thought about Jamal. He was intelligent, responsible, and brave. He was going to college while working full-time and raising a daughter, but he probably would not qualify for a job at Marcus's company because he did not have a degree yet. "Sarah, I want you to review our hiring practices. I think we might be missing out on some very good people." "Of course, Mr. Wellington. Is there a specific reason for this review?" Marcus told Sarah about what happened the night before. He told her about Jamal and how he had saved Emma's life. He told her about Jamal's background and his goals. "This man has all the qualities we say we want in our employees," Marcus said. "He's hardworking, brave, and responsible. But our hiring system would probably reject him because he doesn't have the right education credentials." Sarah listened carefully. "What would you like me to do?" "I want you to create a new hiring program specifically for veterans. I want us to focus on their character and potential, not just their formal education. And I want you to partner with organizations that help veterans find jobs." "That's a great idea, Mr. Wellington. I'll start working on it right away." After Marcus hung up the phone, he continued his research. He looked up statistics about single fathers and the challenges they faced. He learned that single fathers were more likely to work multiple jobs to support their families. They often had to choose between spending time with their children and earning enough money to pay bills. Marcus thought about his own experience as a single father. When Emma's mother died, Marcus had been devastated, but he had money to hire nannies and housekeepers to help take care of Emma. He had never had to worry about paying rent or buying food. He had been able to grieve and focus on his daughter's emotional needs because he did not have to worry about basic survival. Jamal did not have those advantages. When Zara's mother left, Jamal had to figure out how to be a father and the sole provider at the same time. He had to work long hours to pay bills, which meant less time with his daughter. But somehow he was still raising a smart, happy child who wanted to be a doctor. At 8 in the morning, Emma came to the office to check on her father. She found him surrounded by papers and articles he had printed from the internet. "Dad, have you been up all night?" Marcus looked up at his daughter. "I've been doing research about Jamal and people in his situation. Emma, I had no idea how hard things are for some people in this country." Emma sat down in the chair across from her father's desk. "What did you learn?" "I learned that there are millions of people like Jamal who work just as hard as I do, but don't have the same opportunities. I learned that the school Zara goes to has almost no resources compared to your school. I learned that many veterans can't find good jobs even though they served our country." Emma smiled. "So now you understand why I wanted to volunteer?" "I'm starting to understand. But Emma, volunteering one night at a community center is not enough. We need to do more." Emma was surprised to hear her father talk this way. "What do you mean?" Marcus stood up and walked to the window. He looked out at the city where millions of people were starting their day. Some of them would go to jobs that paid well and gave them opportunities to succeed. Others would work just as hard but struggle to pay their bills and provide for their families. "I mean that our family has been given advantages that most people don't have. We have a responsibility to use those advantages to help others. I've been telling you that for years, Dad." "I know, and I should have listened to you sooner. But last night changed everything for me. Jamal risked his life to save you, and he didn't ask for anything in return. That kind of character deserves to be rewarded. Emma walked over to stand next to her father at the window. What do you want to do? I want to help Jamal finish school so he can start his own business. I want to help Zara get the education she needs to become a doctor, and I want to change the way our company hires people so we don't miss out on people like Jamal. Those are all good ideas, Dad, but you have to be careful. What do you mean? Jamal is proud. He doesn't want charity. He wants to earn what he gets. If you just give him money, he might not accept it. Marcus realized Emma was right. Jamal had tried to give back most of the money Marcus paid him for the taxi ride. He said he did not want to be paid for helping someone in danger. So how do we help him without making him feel like we're giving him charity? Emma thought about it. We create opportunities for him to earn what he gets. You could offer him a job at your company. You could hire his transportation services when he starts his business. You could create a scholarship program that Zara could apply for along with other kids. Marcus nodded. You're right. We need to help him in a way that respects his dignity. They spent the next hour talking about different ways to help Jamal and his daughter. They also talked about ways to help other people in similar situations. Marcus realized that his wealth gave him the power to make a real difference in people's lives. Dad, Emma said, I'm proud of you for wanting to do this, but I have to ask you something. What? If Jamal had been a white taxi driver, would you have been suspicious of him last night? Marcus was quiet for a long time. It was a hard question, but he knew the answer. Probably not, he said finally. And that's something I need to change about myself. Emma hugged her father. The fact that you can admit that means you're already changing. Marcus hugged her back. He realized that his 16-year-old daughter had been trying to teach him important lessons about fairness and justice. He had been too stubborn and set in his ways to listen. But last night had opened his eyes. Jamal Thompson had saved more than Emma's life. He had also saved Marcus from a lifetime of prejudice and missed opportunities to help others. Emma, Marcus said, I want you to help me figure out the right way to approach Jamal. I don't want to offend him or make him feel uncomfortable, but I want him to know that our family is grateful for what he did. We'll figure it out together, Dad. But we have to be patient. Jamal has probably met a lot of rich people who made promises they didn't keep. He'll need to see that we're serious before he trusts us. Marcus nodded. He was beginning to understand that earning Jamal's trust would be just as important as helping him achieve his goals. And Marcus was determined to prove that he was worthy of that trust. 3 weeks after the incident, Marcus stood in the boardroom of his company facing 20 of his top executives. He had called this meeting to announce some major changes to how the company operated. I want to talk about our values, Marcus began. We say we hire the best people, but I think we've been defining best too narrowly. Sarah Kim, the head of human resources, passed out folders to everyone in the room. Inside were new hiring guidelines that focused on character and potential rather than just formal education. Starting next month, we're launching a new program to hire veterans, single parents, and people from underserved communities, Marcus continued. We're going to train them in the skills they need and give them opportunities to grow with our company. Some of the executives looked confused. This was very different from how Marcus had run the company before. Sir, said David Chen, the chief technology officer, this sounds expensive. How will it affect our profits? Marcus had expected this question. It will cost money in the short term, but I believe it will make us a stronger company in the long term. We'll have employees who are loyal and hardworking because we gave them a chance when no one else would. What made you decide to do this? Asked Jennifer Walsh, the chief financial officer. Marcus told them about what happened with Emma and Jamal. He told them about Jamal's character and how he had risked his life to save a stranger's child. He told them about researching veteran employment and learning how many good people his company had been rejecting. This man had everything we say we want in an employee, Marcus said, but our hiring system would have rejected him because he doesn't have a college degree yet. That's wrong, and we're going to fix it. After the meeting, Marcus drove to Brooklyn to find Jamal. He had learned that Jamal worked 12-hour shifts every day except Sunday. Marcus waited at the taxi company garage until Jamal's shift ended. Mr. Wellington, Jamal said, looking surprised to see Marcus in Brooklyn. Is everything okay? Is Emma all right? Emma is fine, Marcus said. I came here to talk to you about something important. Do you have a few minutes? Jamal nodded. He was tired after a long day of driving, but he was curious about why Marcus had come to see him. They sat on a bench outside the taxi garage. Marcus had practiced what he wanted to say, but now he felt nervous. Jamal, I've been thinking a lot about what happened 3 weeks ago. Not just about you saving Emma, but about our conversation afterward. Okay, Jamal said, waiting to hear what Marcus wanted. You made me realize that I've been living in a bubble. I didn't understand how hard things are for people who don't have the advantages I've had. I didn't realize how many good people my company was rejecting because of narrow hiring practices. Jamal listened carefully. He had met wealthy people before who said they wanted to help, but then nothing ever changed. I'm starting a new program at my company to hire veterans and give them the training they need to succeed. I want you to be the first person we hire. Jamal was quiet for a long moment. What kind of job? Community outreach coordinator. You would help us identify good people to hire and good causes to support. You would be our connection to communities we've never worked with before. Mr. Wellington, I appreciate the offer, but I don't have a college degree yet. I wouldn't qualify for a job like that at most companies. That's exactly why I want to hire you. You have something more important than a degree. You have integrity and common sense and the ability to connect with people. Those are things you can't learn in school. Jamal thought about the offer. It sounded too good to be true. What would the salary be? Marcus named a figure that was 3 times what Jamal made driving a taxi. Jamal's eyes widened. That's a lot of money, Jamal said. It's what the job is worth. And there would be benefits too. Health insurance for you and Zara. Paid time off so you can spend more time with her. And tuition assistance so you can finish your degree faster. Jamal felt suspicious. Why are you doing this? You don't really know me. Marcus had expected this question too. You're right, I don't know you very well. But I know enough. I know you risked your life to save my daughter when you had no reason to help her. I know you're working multiple jobs to support your family and still going to school at night. I know you have the kind of character that money can't buy. What if I'm not good at the job? Then we'll train you until you are good at it. Jamal, I'm not doing this as charity. I'm doing it because I think you'll make my company better. Jamal looked at the taxi garage where he had worked for 6 years. The work was hard and the hours were long. He often came home exhausted with barely enough energy to help Zara with her homework. Can I think about it? Jamal asked. Of course. Take as much time as you need. As Marcus drove back to Manhattan, he thought about how much his life had changed in 3 weeks. He had spent most of his adult life focused on making money and building his business. He had never thought much about the people who worked for him or the community around him. But now he was spending hours every week learning about social problems and thinking of ways to help solve them. He had met with leaders from community organizations. He had visited schools in low-income neighborhoods. He had started to understand how his company could make a positive difference in people's lives. Emma noticed the change in her father immediately. At dinner that night, she asked him about his meeting with Jamal. I offered him a job, Marcus said, but I'm not sure he'll take it. Why not? He's suspicious. He thinks it might be charity or that I'm not serious about it. Emma nodded. That makes sense. He's probably met people who made big promises but didn't follow through. How do I prove to him that I'm serious? You start small. You show him that you're committed to change, not just for him, but for other people too. Marcus had already started making those changes. His company had partnered with 3 organizations that helped veterans find jobs. They had donated new computers to 5 schools in low-income neighborhoods. They had started a scholarship program for kids who wanted to study technology but couldn't afford college. But Marcus wanted to do more. He wanted to use his wealth and influence to create opportunities for people like Jamal, who had the talent and drive to succeed but lacked the resources. Emma, Marcus said, do you remember what you said about wanting to do something that mattered? Yes. I think I'm finally starting to understand what you meant. All these years I've been focused on making money and building wealth. But what's the point of having all this money if we don't use it to help other people? Emma smiled. So what are you going to do? I'm going to create a foundation. We'll provide scholarships for kids like Zara who are smart, but can't afford good schools. We'll give business loans to people like Jamal who want to start their own companies. We'll fund programs that create opportunities for people who haven't had the same advantages we've had. That sounds amazing, Dad. But are you sure you're ready for that kind of commitment? Running a foundation is a lot of work. Marcus thought about Jamal working 16 hours a day to support his daughter while going to school at night. He thought about Zara studying in a school with broken desks and old textbooks but still dreaming of becoming a doctor. I'm ready, Marcus said. In fact, I think I've been preparing for this my whole life without knowing it." That night, Marcus called his lawyer and started the process of creating the Wellington Foundation. He decided to start with $10 million and add more money each year. He also made another decision. He was going to offer Jamal the chance to help run the foundation. Not as charity, but as a partner. Jamal understood the problems that the foundation would try to solve better than Marcus ever could. Marcus realized that Jamal had not just saved Emma's life that night 3 weeks ago. He had also saved Marcus from a life of selfish indifference to the struggles of others. The transformation was not complete yet. Marcus knew he had a lot more to learn about the world outside his wealthy bubble, but he was ready to learn, and he was ready to use his resources to make a real difference. For the first time in years, Marcus felt like his life had a purpose beyond just making money, and that feeling was worth more than all the wealth he had accumulated. 6 months later, Marcus stood in a bright new office in downtown Brooklyn. The sign on the door read, "Wellington Foundation Community Center." Through the large windows, he could see kids playing in a newly built playground across the street. "The computer classes start next week," Jamal said, walking over to join Marcus at the window. "We have 30 kids signed up and more want to join." Jamal had accepted Marcus's job offer after 2 weeks of thinking about it. He was now the community outreach director for both Marcus's company and the Wellington Foundation. He helped identify people to hire and programs to fund. His salary allowed him to move to a better apartment and spend more time with Zara. "How's Zara doing in her new school?" Marcus asked. Jamal smiled. "She loves it. The science lab has equipment she's never seen before, and her teacher says she's one of the smartest kids in her class." Zara had received a full scholarship to attend a private school through the Wellington Foundation. The scholarship covered tuition, books, and even lunch money. Marcus had made sure that Jamal did not have to pay anything for his daughter's education. "She wants to meet you," Jamal said. "She keeps asking when she can thank the man who made it possible for her to go to her dream school. Tell her she can thank me by working hard and becoming the best doctor she can be." Emma walked into the office carrying a stack of applications. She was now a junior in high school and spent most of her free time working at the foundation. "Dad, we have 50 new applications for the job training program," she said, "and the community college wants to expand our partnership." The job training program was one of Marcus's proudest achievements. They worked with local community colleges to train people for jobs in technology. The students learned skills like computer programming and web design. When they finished the program, Marcus's company guaranteed them interviews for entry-level positions. "How many people have we hired through the program so far?" Marcus asked. 23, Emma said, "and all of them are still with the company. 2 have already been promoted." Marcus had learned that giving people opportunities was not charity, it was good business. The employees they hired through the program were loyal and hardworking. They stayed with the company longer than employees hired through traditional methods. "Mr. Wellington," said a voice from the doorway. "Do you have a minute?" Marcus turned to see Patricia Rodriguez, a 28-year-old single mother who had completed the job training program 3 months ago. She now worked as a software developer at Marcus's company. "Of course, Patricia. What's on your mind?" "I wanted to thank you again for giving me a chance. Before I started your program, I was working 3 part-time jobs just to pay rent. Now I have a career that I love and I can provide a good life for my kids." Patricia's story was similar to many others. She was smart and motivated, but had never had the opportunity to develop her skills. The foundation's program gave her 6 months of intensive training, plus a guaranteed job interview when she finished. "You earned that job," Marcus said. "We just gave you the chance to show what you could do." "Well, I have news that I think you'll like. My supervisor asked me to lead a team on a new project. If I do well, I might get promoted to senior developer." Marcus felt proud, but not for the same reasons that had motivated him before. He was not proud because his company was making more money. He was proud because Patricia was building a better life for herself and her children. After Patricia left, Marcus, Jamal, and Emma sat in the conference room to review the foundation's progress. "We've provided scholarships to 127 students," Emma read from her report. "We've trained and placed 89 people in jobs. We've donated computers and books to 15 schools. And we've given business loans to 12 people who wanted to start their own companies." "What about Jamal's transportation company?" Marcus asked. Jamal had used a business loan from the foundation to start his own taxi and delivery service. He still worked for Marcus part-time, but he was also building his own business. Thompson Transportation is doing well, Jamal said. We have 5 drivers now and we're profitable. I should be able to pay back the loan early. There's no rush, Marcus said. The important thing is that you're achieving your goals. Marcus's phone buzzed with a text message. It was from Robert, his driver, who was now Zara's tutor. Robert had retired from driving and was using his education in mathematics to help kids with their homework. The text said, Zara got an A+ on her science test. She says she wants to specialize in pediatric surgery when she becomes a doctor. Marcus showed the message to Jamal, who beamed with pride. She's always been smart, Jamal said. But now she has teachers who challenge her and resources to help her learn. She talks about college like it's a real possibility, not just a dream. It is a real possibility, Marcus said. We'll make sure she has everything she needs to succeed. That evening, Marcus and Emma had dinner at home. Their apartment looked the same as before, but everything felt different. Instead of business reports, Marcus's desk was covered with letters from scholarship recipients and photos from community events. Dad, Emma said, do you remember what you said when I first started talking about inequality and helping people? I said that life wasn't fair and people needed to work for what they wanted. Do you still believe that? Marcus thought about the question. I still believe people need to work hard, but I also believe that everyone deserves a fair chance to succeed. Some people work just as hard as I did but never get the opportunities I got. What's the difference? I was lucky. I was born to parents who valued education. I went to good schools. I had mentors who helped me when I was starting my business. I had access to loans and investors. Most importantly, I never had to worry about basic things like food and housing while I was building my company. Emma nodded. And now you're trying to give other people those same advantages. I'm trying to level the playing field a little bit. I can't fix all the problems in the world, but I can help some people get the chances they deserve. Marcus's phone rang. It was Jamal. Mr. Wellington, I'm sorry to bother you at home, but I wanted to share some good news. I just got accepted to the MBA program at Brooklyn College. They're giving me a partial scholarship and I can take night classes so I can keep working. Marcus felt happy for his friend. That's wonderful, Jamal. Congratulations. I wanted to thank you for encouraging me to apply. A year ago, I never would have thought I could afford graduate school. After Marcus hung up, he and Emma sat quietly for a moment. Dad, Emma said, I'm proud of you. You've changed so much since that night when Jamal saved me. Jamal didn't just save you that night, Marcus said. He saved me too. He showed me what real character looks like. He made me realize that I had been judging people based on things that don't matter. What do you mean? I used to think that poor people were poor because they didn't work hard enough. I thought that successful people like me deserved everything we had because we were smarter or more dedicated than everyone else. And now? Now I know that success depends on a lot of factors that are outside our control. Hard work is important, but so is opportunity. I was successful partly because of my own efforts, but also because I had advantages that most people don't have. Emma smiled. So what's next for the foundation? Marcus had been thinking about that question a lot lately. I want to expand to other cities. I want to create more job training programs and more scholarships. I want to help more people like Jamal start their own businesses. That sounds like it will take a lot of money and time. It will. But I have both of those things. And more importantly, I have people like Jamal and you to help me do it the right way. Marcus looked out the window at the city lights below. 6 months ago, he had seen those lights as symbols of his success and wealth. Now he saw them as millions of people with their own dreams and struggles. Some of those people just needed a chance to show what they could do. Emma, do you remember when you asked me why I didn't understand what life was like for most people? Yes, you were right. I had isolated myself from the real world. I only knew people who were rich and successful like me. I never talked to people who were struggling to make ends meet. And now I spend half my time in Brooklyn and Queens talking to people in their neighborhoods. I visit schools and community centers. I listen to people tell me about their problems and their dreams. Marcus thought about Mrs. Johnson, an elderly woman who ran a food pantry in her church basement. She fed over 100 families every week with donations and volunteer help. The foundation had given her money to buy a new refrigerator and hire part-time staff. He thought about Carlos, a teenager who lived in foster care but was brilliant at computer programming. The foundation was paying for his college tuition and had connected him with mentors in the technology industry. He thought about Sarah, a veteran who lost her leg in Iraq and was having trouble finding work. The foundation helped her start a business providing security services to small companies. Each person had a different story, but they all had one thing in common. They just needed someone to believe in them and give them a chance. "Dad," Emma said, "can I ask you something personal?" "Of course, Kingdom. Are you happier now than you were before?"